You're getting a message from your husband. He wants you and the kids to come visit him at the base. It's been a while. He says he misses you. You pack a small bag, get the children ready, and board a bus out of Nairobi. It feels, for a moment, like things might be turning around. They won't. But then 2 days, you and your children will vanish. This is the story of Joyce Syombua Maua, her 2 young children, and the man the court would eventually find guilty of killing all 3 of them. In October 2019, Joyce was living apart from her husband. His name was Peter Mwaura Mugure, a major in the Kenya Defense Forces stationed at the Laikipia Air Base in Nanyuki. The couple's marriage had broken down. Court records show Joyce had already gone to court seeking maintenance for her 2 children, and the judge had ordered Mugure to pay her a fixed monthly amount. Money, according to the prosecution, would later become part of the motive. But on October 25th, none of that mattered. Mugure had invited Joyce and the children to Nanyuki. She agreed. She took 10-year-old Shanice and 5-year-old Prince Michael and made the trip north. What did she think that day? Boarding a bus with 2 kids and a bag, hoping for something like reconciliation. We don't know, but we know what happened next. The family arrived and was seen at the Air Force Base. The following day, October 26th, they left the base together and had lunch at a hotel nearby, Kilimara Springs. Witnesses saw them there. It was, as far as anyone could tell, an ordinary family outing. A mother, 2 children, a father in uniform. They never made it home. Days passed, weeks passed. Joyce's family began asking questions. Where was she? Why hadn't she called? Mugure gave explanations, but they didn't add up. Investigators began digging into his story, and the story kept changing. Eventually, police zeroed in on him as a suspect. In November 2019, he was arrested and held at Nanyuki police station, where detectives worked to figure out what had actually happened to his wife and children. What they found was worse than anyone had feared. In the Thigithu area outside Nanyuki, investigators uncovered a shallow grave. Inside were the remains of Joyce, Shanice, and Prince Michael. The same family that had been photographed having lunch just days before was now the subject of a triple murder investigation. How does a father go from inviting his family to visit to burying them in the ground days later? That question will define the next 7 years of legal proceedings. Mugure was charged with 3 accounts of murder. He pleaded not guilty, but he wasn't the only one who knew what had happened. A colleague of his, a man named Collis Pamba, was also arrested and charged in connection with the case. Investigators alleged that Pamba had helped Mugure dispose of the bodies after the killings. For a long time, the case moved slowly, bogged down in bail applications, procedural motions, and legal delays. Mugure fought for release. The courts kept him in custody. Then came the break that would ultimately close the case. Collins Pamba entered into a plea bargain with the prosecution. In exchange, he gave testimony describing how he had assisted in disposing of the bodies after the murders. It was the kind of insider account that prosecutors needed in a case built largely on circumstantial evidence. Someone who was there, who could describe what happened after the killings and who could corroborate the physical evidence recovered from the gravesite. The trial dragged on for years. Witnesses were called, evidence was presented. Piece by piece, investigators walked the court through the timeline. The travel to Nanyuki, the visit to the base, the lunch at Kilimara Springs, and the disappearance. Prosecutors argued that the murders had not been a moment of rage, but something planned. The maintenance order, the strained marriage, the invitation to visit, the choice of location, far from Nairobi and away from anyone who might intervene. Piece by piece, the state built its case. Nearly 7 years after Joyce, Shanice, and Prince Michael vanished, Justice Martin Muya delivered his judgment at the High Court. He found that the prosecution had proven its case beyond reasonable doubt. Peter Mwaura Mugure was convicted on all 3 accounts of murder. What do you say to a man who killed his own children? The judge had an answer. He described the killings as barbaric. He noted that Mugure had shown no remorse throughout the trial, not during the proceedings, not even after the verdict. In his sentencing remarks, the judge pointed to something larger too, the rising number of femicide and infanticide cases in Kenya, and said they demanded serious punishment. He handed down a life sentence. Mugure did not accept it quietly. Moments after the sentence was read, he told the court he disagreed with both the conviction and the punishment. The judge reminded him that he had the right to appeal. Whether he will pursue that right and what a future court might decide remains to be seen. For Joyce's family, the sentence closed a chapter that had been opened for 7 long years, 7 years of not knowing, and then 7 more years of watching the case wind through the courts. A wife and a mother who traveled north, hoping to reconnect with her husband. 2 children who trusted their father enough to get on a bus and to go see him. None of them came home. Cases like this one raise questions that don't have easy answers. How well do we really know the people closest to us? What happens when the justice system takes 7 years to deliver a verdict everyone already suspected? And what does it mean for a country when a serving military officer, someone trained and trusted to protect others, becomes the person a family needed protection from? There's no comfortable ending here, only a verdict, a sentence, and a family that will never be whole again. And a reminder that the danger someone faces isn't always a stranger in the dark. Sometimes it's the person who sends the message asking you to come visit.